Big changes for churches. The IRS says church leaders can endorse political candidates with no risk to their tax-exempt status. Since the 1950s, tax-exempt organizations were not allowed to endorse or oppose political candidates. Well, that's all now changed due to a Texas federal court ruling, and some religious groups have long argued that the prior stance violates their First Amendment rights. Here, as always, to break it down for us is Queen City News Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes. Khalif, the big change here, no more separation of church and state?
I wouldn't go that far. What I can say is this is the Johnson Amendment, something that has been on the books since the 50s, and for good reason. It was talking about the church separation of church and state, wanting to make sure that those lines were crystal clear, to not have any type of blurred thought process. When you leave it ambiguous, having something like this in place lets you know clearly that a church cannot do a number of things. So when you talk about what has occurred so far, this is what the IRS said. They didn't say that there is no separation of church and state, but they gave some further guidance. They said when a house of worship, in good faith, speaks to his congregation through his customary channels of communication on matters connected to faith in religious services concerning political events. Yeah, that's a mouthful, right? They neither participate nor intervenes in political campaigning. And so what they're saying is, yes, you're allowed to talk about candidates in the church setting unless you're going outside of the normal scope of what you're doing, and you're doing it in good faith. So this guidance gives you a lot of prerequisites. It's not like you can say, you know what, today we're going to start having political forums happening at the church. I don't think they're going that far to say that. What they are saying is, hey, if it's at church service, if it's in the middle of a sermon and the minister brings up a candidate and it's during the normal course and it's in good faith, then they're able to do that, which is different than how it's been, because folks have shied away from that because the Johnson Amendment was clear that you couldn't do any type of political activity. Now they're saying you can do something, but it has to be in the normal
money
course.
Support?
This doesn't address money support, but I think the detractors from this believe that this opens the door for money support. And that's what they've said before in the past, that this opens the door for dark money to come from churches, from these type of activities, that you're taking up donations while receiving the tax-free benefits of being a nonprofit. I don't think that they've went that far, but they are saying that you can utilize your space to not lose your tax-free status. But remember, this has only been enforced one time in history.
Well, that's the thing, too. The IRS, I mean, this has not been enforced that much. So there's not much that's going to change out of this?
I think it's probably them saying that we can see the writing on the wall, and this is a place where churches have been engaging in this conversation, but it's been not enforced. And so 1992 is the last time that, or the first time it's ever was enforced, first and last time. Bill Clinton, church took out an ad, went full throttle against his campaign, and they did lose their tax exempt status. So after that case, a number of churches have engaged in this type of activity, trying to get as close to the line to get the IRS to revoke their status. I say it a lot here that what you want to do is get good facts, good timing, in a good court. So you have people that are trying to challenge the case so they can have standing. So I'm going to do whatever I can do within my power to get the IRS to revoke my tax status just so I can get my case in front of the court to get this ruling struck down. The IRS hasn't bit at the bait ever, and they're like, nope, we're not going to even revoke your status, carry on. But today, this ruling is something that allows you to say, well, even if you guys are going to continue to try to get close to the line has now been moved further back because you can engage in this conversation if it's in good faith.
Any challenges going forward with this? Any opposition to this?
There's
ruling.
There's definitely opposition. The major opposition is from the parties that want to continue to have a clear separation of church and state, that don't even want to allow the footsteps or the toes to get close to that line, where they're saying that dark money can come into it, where now you are entertaining and opening the door for the separation of church and state to be shortened.
All right, we will certainly keep following it. Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.